Hello everyone, welcome back to another video from Glorious Events, where we create treasured memories for both your corporate and social events. Today we are hosting a moderator for corporate events because with the new wave of COVID-19, corporate events have taken a new twist. They've gone online, they've gone virtual. We're having more webinars, more Zoom conferences and sessions. And according to me, the most important person in such gatherings is the moderator. So if he cannot control the panelists, the audience, everything to just go smoothly, then the whole thing loses its meaning. So today we are going to talk to Mr. Thomas Twesige, and he gives us more insight about corporate events. Yes, you're welcome. Please introduce yourself to the viewers.
Thank you, Gloria, for this invitation. My name is Thomas Twesige, and I'm a leadership coach. I'm also an entrepreneur. I'm very passionate about young people as well, equipping them with 21st century skills and getting them ready for work. Work could be either as a business or starting their own business or getting employable. But mostly it's always exciting to host events. So I'm an events host, and I do both corporate and social, but mostly corporate.
That's a nice introduction. At least you've gotten a background about him. He's not just a moderator, but he has a rich background. So when you're choosing a moderator, also try to understand what they do so that they fit perfectly with the event you're planning.
Yes.
Maybe the next thing we want to know, which kinds of events have you done before?
Well, most recently, like you mentioned, corporate events and webinars, or what you'd like to call them, have moved virtual. They're going online. So I've done about 2 in the last 3 months. One was in a practical survival and revival business strategies organized by Imoca Access and Eloquent Business Solutions. And then most recently, we did a Women in Business forum webinar at the US Embassy. So those are just a few of those that I've done. But outside of that, before we were affected by the COVID-19, I did quite a number of events with embassies. Most notably, I think, was the Swedish one. And I've also worked with a renewable energy incubator where we had an event, an annual event, but also one that a competition, I think, was a competition for young entrepreneurs who are coming up with innovative green energy solutions.
Right. So what we know about corporate events, when they drag out so much, people get bored.
Yes, that's
and
true.
They might leave. If it's a full day event, you find after lunch there's no one. So how do you manage the time? Like, how do you keep people interested?
Well, for starters, there's a program. That program is usually designed by the organizers of the event. And that program is shared with me at least 2-3 days prior to the event, so that we understand where each speaker or each engagement or activity is the amount of time that it's apportioned. So at the start of the event, one of the things that I do is share the program with the participants or the attendees so that they are well aware of what to expect, and that's basically to manage the expectations. If it's an all-day event, then they get to know from the beginning that it's an all-day event. Yes, and that it will run for this amount of time. So we work with that to make sure that they're engaged. You prepare them mentally so that they're aware how much time, how much of their personal time they have to invest in this event.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what happens if they're unresponsive?
Well, what if they're unresponsive, especially in a physical setting? Then my advice, or what I would usually do, is take a break and then use that break, get an icebreaker, get them to engage one another, get an activity that they would be really, engaged in, and that will require their participation and involvement. From what I've noticed, usually people get bored if they're not being involved it's just talk. So the ideal thing to do is to have them participate throughout the event.
And according to you, who is the most important person to please at a corporate event? Who would you look at? And
well, the audience, the participants are the important people. They are all important. Why? Because that event wouldn't be happening without them.
It's for them.
Yes, some of these corporate events could be paid for, others could be free. But whatever the time whatever it is, they have invested time. So they are all important. Now, because they are all important, they need to be catered for. And one of the things that I usually ask is who is my audience, so that I know beforehand the kind of people that we're going to be interacting with, and then I prepare appropriately for that demographic.
True. I couldn't agree more, because I've been in a conference, I won't mention names, but the panelists were speaking to themselves, the big words, the techno words, and as the audience was so disconnected, there was no, because us wanted to know examples, practical things that have worked, something someone can easily relate to. But they were so high above what the audience wanted, and it was just off. So always pay attention to your audience and make sure they're involved. So something else about physical appearance. How do you dress up, your image? How do you present yourself?
Well, your image is important. It's a very, very key ingredient, because who are you? What are you presenting? Again, it goes back to who is the audience, because that audience determines how then you show up. Because you could show up in a suit and it's a corporate event, but it's a laid back, chill event, and you're out of place. So that's why it's always important as a host, as an event host, to ask as many questions as possible with the organizers. Find out what kind of people are you going to be meeting, what kind of people are you going to be interacting with, and then you plan accordingly how you'll dress and show up, because you don't want to be inappropriate in any way. So if it requires for you to wear a suit, then put on a suit. If it requires for you to put on maybe something African to relate with the brand that you're representing that day, then you do that. If it's a casual, laid back corporate event, then you dress appropriately. Basically, you dress as the occasion demands.
And lastly, what kind of information do you normally need to know beforehand, before the event?
Well, before the event, for starters, it's important to know the theme, what the event is really about, because that also determines how you prepare. What is the objective of the event? What do they want to achieve with this event? And that then helps you format, find the right jokes, find the right words, and do the right kind of research, so that you can connect with your audience and drive this thing in the way that it's supposed to go.
Great. So guys, I think we've had enough. We've gotten some tips here and there about how you can plan for your corporate event, especially now that we are embracing the virtual conferences and online conferences. At least prepare beforehand and pay attention to the things that he has hinted on, so that your event makes sense, is impactful to the audience, and you leave a mark. So I thank you for being on the Glorious Events channel and giving us your time.
You're welcome. Thank you also for hosting me. I'm your number one go-to person for, as a host for your corporate event. But like I said, I also do social events too. So you can call me or get in touch with Gloria, so that I can be your next host. And I promise that I'll make your event magnificent and unforgettable. Yeah. Otherwise, also support Gloria here. She's doing great, excellent work at Glorious Events. I'm sure you've seen some of her work, and you'll not be disappointed.
You've heard it all. Please subscribe, like this video, watch to the very end, and leave a comment below.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.